Day, June 6th to Dumbo, Brooklyn. Nominees, artists, and red carpet. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Sponsored in part by Dr. Giddings, Liberty Hearing Center, Metropolitan Hospital, and United Beverage Center. Scan the QR code to get tickets now.
Good morning, everyone. Happy to have you with us. It's Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. I am J.R. Giddings. Welcome to the Reset Talk Show. This show changes the conversation. This platform will help to reset and reshape the nation and the world. Here's a preview of the top stories we are following. Donald Trump spent the last several days hyping what he called a looming great and meaningful deal with Iran. Of course, by Monday, the deal crumbled, and the US forces were bombing targets inside Iran again. Our panel of experts will give their takeaways. Then we will pay tribute to Carla Mertens, who was a major contributor on the Reset Talk Show as an educator. Carla was with us for the dark days of the pandemic, informing parents about the importance of our children reading daily. Carla will be dearly missed. And in our Feel Good segment, we are celebrating the New York Knicks. For the first time in 27 years, the Knicks are the Eastern Conference champions. All of this and more coming up. You're listening to and watching the Reset Talk Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
When it was time for my baby's vaccinations, I wasn't sure what to do. There was so much conflicting information. I didn't know what was real. But then I found out that since the 90s, childhood vaccines have saved over 1 million lives and prevented more than 500 million illnesses in children.
And like me, many parents worry. We all want to do what's best for our babies. So I went to my baby's doctor and I asked a lot of questions.
And got the answers I needed. I choose to vaccinate. Ask questions, get answers. Vaccinate.
Whatever your audiology needs are, we are here to help. Our full-time staff includes doctors of audiology, graduate student clinicians. We screen for, diagnose, and treat hearing loss in a diverse population of all ages. We work closely with primary care physicians, otolaryngologists, and other healthcare providers to ensure that we are treating the whole person, not just their hearing.
We have already begun. Beginning a few days ago, we instituted a system where all of the subway stations here in New York City will be adorned with an advertisement on our Jubilee celebrations. And I mean all 400 odd stations in the New York area, especially the 4 boroughs. That seems to be going well. I've seen photographs taken of that. And I'm saying that it really brings a sense of pride to our diasporans.
At Roger Victor Archibald Civil Rights and Personal Injury Attorneys, we are family.
No matter what the case is, we go fight it. If you're looking for justice, you will get it. Roger will treat you like you is VIP. Come join me with the team, cause in this love for we treat you like family. Winning millions for clients since 1991. Family. Working to the shores of the Caribbean to the United States courthouse, where clients are treated like people and not simply cases. Call us if you have a case involving police brutality, medical malpractice, construction accidents, automobile accidents, and all other personal injuries.
This is attorney Roger Archibald. Call me today at 718-237-1111. We are family.
Drinking alcohol increases the risk of several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and throat cancer. Drinking less can lower your risk. You deserve to know the truth about alcohol and cancer. Get the facts. Visit nyc.gov/alcohol.
Welcome back. This is the Reset Talk Show. We have a great show for you this week. Let's begin with Donald Trump. Great and meaningful deal with Iran, which crumbled, and U.S. forces are back bombing targets inside of Iran again. Let's welcome in our panel of experts this morning. We have Dr. Giddings, Rabbi Cohen. We have Pastor Strick with us this morning. Welcome in, Rabbi Cohen. Welcome in, Dr. Giddings. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you.
Great, thank God.
Dr. Giddings, I'm going to lead with you. For the last couple of weeks, Donald Trump was more or less boasting about this ceasefire deal that he has with Iran. Somehow, the deal crumbled, and the U.S. forces are back to bombing Iran. What is your take? Where do you see a ceasefire? Do you see an end to this war? What are your thoughts?
Yes, good morning, all. Good morning, listeners. Yeah, this is really seeming, the ceasefire at least is tenuous at best. I mean, what I believe that Donald Trump is, our president, is beginning to relieve is that, you just can't win a war with just bombing places, like, just bombing. You can't bomb a nuclear program out of existence. The Iranians are really tough negotiators. They come to the table with their experts. They come with, nuclear experts, scientists, engineers, everything. They're just really tough, and they can hold out. They don't care what happens to their people. They are just tough people. And right now, they have all the leverage. They have all the cards. I mean, he was told by General Kane, if he does this, this is what's going to happen. But he still went ahead. And then afterwards, he's asking, what's going on? How can we open the strait? Well, they have all the leverage right now. The last strikes that happened recently, the ones you're talking about, he said it was self-defense because they were laying mines and all this. And as a result, the oil prices went up. So you can't come to the table with negotiators like Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, some real estate person. I hope they have more people there. I know J.D. Vance went there, but in terms of experts, we need experts. And he's really looking for an off-ramp right now where he just can't find one. And right now, as I said before, they have all the cards. They want to impose a transit fee for the strait. And, it's all very fluid right now. So meanwhile, all our prices are going up, right? Food prices, fertilizer costs. It's just a ripple effect. And the economy is just looking really, really bad. And we're headed to the midterms, and he's looking for an off-ramp. So right now, I think he's starting to realize or starting to regret, I think, what he did which, it was bad advice, and the people around him are afraid to advise him. So right now, everybody is just saying whatever sounds good. Obama lives rent free in his brain. There is no way he's going to get a better JCPOA than Obama got in 2 years. It's not going to be any better. They can just say, oh, it's going to be great. We're going to get a better deal. Bam, bam, bam. No, they're going to kick the nuclear discussions down the road. And the main thing is opening the strait right now. So that's where I think we are.
Thank you for that, Dr. Giddings. I'm going to bring in the good Rabbi this morning. But Rabbi, I'm going to start from where Dr. Giddings left off, and then we could go a little bit deeper. As the commander-in-chief, do you think it's appropriate for our president to be labeling Barack Obama as all of the things that he's labeling him as? To wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and to be sending all of these AI videos and showing Barack in behind bars. What is your takeaway on that?
Well, good morning. So there's two different parts to this. One is, what is our discussion supposed to be about right here? Are we supposed to be talking about Trump, or are we supposed to be talking about the next step in the war? Because those are not necessarily totally intertwined one with the other. Of course, it's Trump who took this action, which is a courageous action to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon, which I think was the right move. Now, some people disagree. They think they claim there was the JCPOA in place, and the agreement between Iran and the other countries that was going to limit Iran's nuclear weapon. So the first question, which we've debated ad nauseum, is should we have gone into this? And I would say yes. Others say no. Others say there was a deal. I would say the deal was a very bad deal that was really guaranteeing, because remember, it had a sunset clause that after a few years, it was going out. And therefore, Iran would have been licensed to get a nuclear weapon with all the sanctions relief and everything that they got. So to answer your question, let me go to your question. Okay.
I just wanted to clarify, the deal that you're talking about is on whose administration?
The Obama deal, that called joint JCPOA, the deal between Iran and the countries that was supposed to have gotten rid of or control Iran's nuclear program. The people who say that it was good, they say, okay, because we delayed Iran's access to a nuclear weapon. But everyone knows there were three problems with the deal. Number one, that it had a sunset clause. After 15 years, it's over. And therefore, they were allowed to get, according to the deal, a nuclear weapon after 15 years. And we're already 9 years away from Obama. So we're getting close to that period. So that's number one. Number two, they were cheating on the deal. And everyone knows that they had undisclosed nuclear plans. And that was, remember, Netanyahu came in front of, I think it was the UN, and he showed the stash of nuclear documents that they had captured from Iran, which showed they were not keeping to the deal. So in general, I think Obama was a good president. I think there are two things that Trump has that really upset him about Obama. One is personal and one is national. The personal one is that Obama, on the last days of his administration, January 6th, not of 2024, which is the controversial January 6th, but January 26th of not of 2023, which is the controversial, but 2019, as he was going out of power, Obama brought together his Secret Service people, and they made up a whole thing that Trump was in the hands of the Russians, and that really damaged Trump's first presidency in a very bad way, and hurt America in a very bad way. And I think that's his complaint against. And the end of that was 2 impeachments, and it was all the attempts to put Trump in jail. So, to say Trump is angry at Obama, it's very personal. Yes, Obama tried to put me in jail. Obama tried to undermine my presidency. and that's very personal. The national one is signing a bad deal with Iran that actually did. Remember, they sent a plane full of cash, literally with all the seats taken out, an entire plane full of cash from America to Iran as the payoff for the Iran deal. And the bottom line of that was that Iran didn't use that money to improve their country. They used that money to buy terror all over the world, including the Houthis shutting off the straits and the entrance to the Red Sea and all those different things. So I don't think, I understand where Trump is coming from when he's angry at Obama.
So what I'm hearing from
Yeah,
you.
wait. Can I say something? I need to clarify some things, because the JCPOA was implemented in 2015. In 2017, all reports showed that they were still complying with the nuclear deal. In 2018, that's when Trump abandoned the nuclear deal. By 2023, the report, the IAE, the people who were monitoring the nuclear deal, said they were enriched up to 83%. Remember, Trump abandoned the deal. And then 2025, last summer, that's when he said that everything was obliterated. So let's clarify those points right now, okay?
Okay, that's fair. So let me take that point by point, because I think that's very good. I'm happy you did that, Dr. Giddings, because it's much better to stay with facts than to make and those facts are very good facts. They're correct. So number one, yes. So 2015 was the deal. It had a 15-year sunset clause. That means 2015 plus 15 means 2030. According to the deal, Iran was fully able to have a nuclear weapon. And even 10 years into the deal, which is already past 2025, they were already able to start enrichment. So just look that up. Sunset clause, JCPOA, and you'll see that it was only a temporary deal pushing the can down the road. It wasn't the end.
I know that's true. I know that's true, but still, things were working according to plan until.
But okay, fine. So we agree on that one. So that's very good. Let's start with that. So yeah, so a nuclear enrichment. Now the other issue is that even later, after the Atomic Authority or the inspectors for the international inspectors certified that Iran was keeping to the deal, it later turned out that there were several undisclosed nuclear locations, including a couple of the ones that were blown up by Trump in the June war last year. So let's just go on record with that. The other thing is, and this is very, very important. So there were these undisclosed locations that were there where Iran was preparing nuclear weapons. Then Dr. Giddings mentions, well, okay, so Trump said this is a bad deal. It's not going to keep Iran away from the nuclear bomb, and we're breaking the deal. So now Iran goes all out to make a weapon. Was it a good move or not a good move? We could debate that. That's fine. I'm happy to debate that. That's not the issue. The issue is right now, as Trump comes back into the presidency, and they tell him that, and this is not disputed, by the way, that Iran now is almost ready to have a nuclear weapon. They have a missile program, and they have enriched uranium to 60%, and a lot of it. And Trump says, we cannot allow that. We're going to destroy it. And in the June war, Trump, together with Israel, destroys all the centrifuges, destroys all the nuclear sites, and drops so many bombs on that mountain that Iran says they can't even get the nuclear stuff out to give it to America. So that's where we're holding right now. So now,
I know, and the reason
we go. Wait. Let me say one more sentence.
Abandoning the deal.
Dr. Giddings, give me one sentence.
Right?
Give me one sentence, and I'll come to you. So that's now. So now we know that that the nuclear material was bombed. Now comes back the intelligence and says that Iran is going at a crazy pace to build non-nuclear ballistic missiles, thousands upon thousands of missiles that they're building and that they're buying from China. So, and the idea behind this is that if they build up such a big stockpile of ballistic missiles, which means rockets that go 1,000 miles, that go 2,000 miles, that they can create such a impenetrable wall around the country that they can now go and rebuild their nuclear thing, which was obliterated, quickly and without anyone being able to challenge them. And that's where we are now when Trump decides to attack Iran. Now, let's go back to the original question, which Dr. Giddings answered, which was where we are right now, right? So whether or not, and again, this should not right now, it's not a question of who, it's a question of what's going on. So we know that America had a very successful military campaign. In 1 month, they were able to get rid of most of Iran's aggressive outgoing ability to strike, to the point that Iran agreed to a ceasefire. Now, as everyone says, Iran usually loses on the battlefield and wins at the negotiating table. That, and I think you would agree with, I think that's pretty much what you portrayed, Dr. Giddings, and what you were saying, which was very good, which is about the current negotiation. So now we're in a negotiation, and we're hoping that Trump has one goal right now. And a lot of people, by the way, most of the people who are screaming against Trump now are screaming from the right and saying it's not a strong enough goal. We have 3 problems with Iran. We have nuclear weapons, we have ballistic rockets that are non-nuclear, right, which they build thousands of them, and they can do a lot of havoc with that, as we've seen in this last war. And we have terror proxies, the different armies and terror groups in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Gaza, in all these different places where Iran is sponsoring terror groups. Many people feel that all 3 should be addressed in the agreement.
That was a soliloquy, not a sentence. Okay. You told me one sentence, you gave a soliloquy.
All right, go ahead. Yes, I'm sorry. You're right. I went on to part 2. I shouldn't have. Go ahead. You come back.
Listen, so the bottom line is this, right? We are in the position because of what Trump did in 2018. So let's just be clear. This is the position we're in. He brought us to this position, okay? And this obliteration of all the sites in 2025, the intelligence came by, only 1/3 of the sites were gone. So that's totally not true. And as I stated in the beginning, you cannot bomb a nuclear program out of existence, okay? So now that he did that, he gave the Iranians all the leverage with the Strait, which affects the global economy. So he just gave everything to Iran. Iran has all the cards. They don't care how long they take to negotiate. As I said, they're tough negotiators. They don't care what happens to their people. And now we're here trying to find an off-ramp because he wants to get out of this by any means necessary. And that's why the other people on the right are coming against, like Lindsey Graham and all of that, saying that, oh, no. What's the point of doing a war if you're just going to settle for nothing? So that's where we are. We're in the position we're in because of Donald Trump tearing up, abandoning the deal in 2018. Even if it's 15 years, we're still 2025, 2026 when he did all of this. So it lies with him. And he's never going to get a JCPOA that's better than Obama's. I know about some. That JCPOA was not perfect. I agree with you. However, it was better than where we are right now. Where we are right now is worse off than where we were when this deal was implemented.
Thanks. Thank you for that. I see we're just joined by Donatello, but before we bring in Donatello, before we continue, Rabbi, my question is, this deal was torn up in 2018, but here we are in 2026, 2.5 months into this war, and he's blaming Barack Obama. You have to help me to understand that. I mean, he started the war, we're in this war, we're billions of dollars into this war. Prices are skyrocketing everywhere. And, we don't see an end to this. So when we come back, please help me to understand how Barack is at fault for this war that President Trump started 2.5 months ago. We'll take a commercial break and we will be right back.
When it was time for my baby's vaccinations, I wasn't sure what to do. There was so much conflicting information, I didn't know what was real. But then I found out that since the 90s, childhood vaccines have saved over 1 million lives and prevented more than 500 million illnesses in children.
And like me, many parents worry. We all want to do what's best for our babies. So I went to my baby's doctor and I asked a lot of questions.
And got the answers I needed. I choose to vaccinate. Ask questions, get answers, vaccinate.
Whatever your audiology needs are, we are here to help. Our full-time staff includes doctors of audiology, graduate student clinicians. We screen for, diagnose, and treat hearing loss in a diverse population of all ages. We work closely with primary care physicians, otolaryngologists, and other healthcare providers to ensure that we are treating the whole person, not just their hearing.
We have already begun. Beginning a few days ago, we instituted a system where all of the subway stations here in New York City will be adorned with an advertisement on our Jubilee celebrations. And I mean all 400 odd stations in the New York area, especially the 4 boroughs. That seems to be going well. I've seen photographs taken of that. And I'm saying that it really brings a sense of pride to our diasporans.
At Roger Victor Archibald Civil Rights and Personal Injury Attorneys, we are family.
No matter what the case is, we go fight it. If you're looking for justice, you will get it. Roger will treat you like you is VIP. Come join you with the team, cause in this love from we treat you like family. Winning millions for clients since 1991. Family. Working together here as one, yeah. Family. So call us today at 718-237-1111 or visit our website at BrooklynATTY.com. From the shores of the Caribbean to the United States Courthouse, where clients are treated like people and not simply cases. Call us if you have a case involving police brutality, medical malpractice, construction accidents, automobile accidents, and all other personal injuries.
This is attorney Roger Archibald. Call me today at 718-237-1111. We are family.
Drinking alcohol increases the risk of several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and throat cancer. Drinking less can lower your risk. You deserve to know the truth about alcohol and cancer. Get the facts. Visit nyc.gov/alcohol.
Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the Reset Talk Show. Audience, if you're just joining us, we're having a conversation about Donald Trump. For the last couple of weeks, he's been boasting and bragging about this great and meaningful deal with Iran. But on Monday, the deal crumbled. How would Donald Trump deflect from this? By sharing a mugshot of Barack Obama. Welcome back in, panel. And I really want to hear from Rabbi, but I have to go over to Donatella. Welcome in, Donatella. How are you this morning?
I apologize, I was on mute. Thank you, JR. I am doing well, and it's always a pleasure to be here with my fellow panelists and yourself. I think Dr. Giddings has done the proverbial mic drop when it comes to providing facts about the war, which I must admit is not my strong point. But, Rabbi, I always start my statement when I'm coming after you with how much I love you, right? Um, at a certain point, people begin to notice a pattern with our current president. I will say he is our president. Um, it appears to me no matter what the challenge, the controversy, or international crisis that's taking place during President Trump's presidency, the conversation somehow circles back to former President Barack Obama. From my personal perspective, it comes across as an unhealthy obsession with attempting to diminish our former President Obama's legacy, no matter what's happening in the present moment. In my opinion, leadership should always involve accountability, ownership, and the ability to address current issues without constantly redirecting the public, which is us, backwards. Political disagreements are normal. I think we've seen that in every presidency that I can remember as a child. But continuously centering a former president in nearly every major narrative raises questions. And I don't see how, Rabbi, when you say personal is like what I'm saying. I think this president feels a certain way about the former president, but things are out of control. Every little thing goes back to him. And it just doesn't make sense to me. So when you say, it's personal because the former president pointed out things against him and what he's doing, and you almost make it sound like you believe that he's innocent of the things that he was charged with, let alone found guilty of here in New York.
Donatella, the one thing that's glaring here, the one thing that's really glaring is when you say something enough, people tend to believe it. When you're the leader of the free world, this country, the United States, people lean on every word that you're saying. So the more President Trump puts it out there that Barack is the cause of this war, some people would tend to believe it. So if it's one thing we know is that Donald Trump is a master manipulator. And he's just manipulating. Right now, that's what he's doing, manipulating the situation. And people are now between two minds. Welcome back in, Rabbi. Could you explain to me, okay, right after your deal crumbles with Iran, the next thing that the president does is share AI mugshot of Barack Obama. What that really says?
The truth, I don't know why he suddenly came onto this now, but he, I don't know what's going on in his mind. That's not something that I can say. I'm trying to focus more on the facts of what's going on. So,
okay,
I think that's
before you go to the facts. The question is why, with every stumbling block that you meet with this war, you feel the need to blame the former president.
And that
I don't think so. Well, look, Donatella said that, but I don't know that that's true. I think that the JCPOA, right? That's the deal that Dr. Giddings described that was supposed to delay, but not stop completely, Iran's nuclear ambitions. I say, and Trump says, and others say, that Iran was cheating on that deal. And it had a long-term allowance for them to go after nuclear weapons. In the end, they were allowed to, and we're almost at that point. 2015, the provisions of that deal were 10 to 15 years, and they're over. So some of the provisions are over already, and some of them would have been over in another couple of years. So, by that time, it would have been too late to stop Iran. So, but the question right now, and I really want to focus on this because I think we can spend all day talking about what happened in the past and so on, and it doesn't take away from the fact of where we are right now. And I think this is much more important. And Dr. Giddings spoke about this very eloquently at the beginning of the program, and that's what I want to focus on right now. Where we are right now is that Iran has suffered a major military setback that has stopped it from projecting its power out of its borders for a while. It will definitely try to get back that power, and it's trying to do it at the negotiating table. The question is, the doctor said that Iran has all the cards. I do not agree that Iran has all the cards, because remember, Iran is going through a major economic crisis. They have no money, they have no income, their people are very upset. They just were forced to turn on the internet again after having 80 days of no internet in Iran, and their backs are to the wall. So they're projecting out the same thing that Trump is doing. We have all the time in the world. We're not in a hurry. We have all the cards. But I don't agree that Iran has all the cards. I think that America has all the cards, and we should be patient. And Trump, one thing that's very interesting to me about Trump. Wait. One thing that's very interesting to me about Trump, and again, this is, we all disagree about many things about him. But one thing you can agree about is that he seems very reluctant to start bombing again, right? How many times has he threatened, I'm going to start bombing, I'm going to do the bridges, I'm going to do the electric, I'm going to do so many things, and then he doesn't do it. He does not want to restart military operations because I think for the reason you said, that there's only so much you can accomplish through bombs and guns. And that part is done already. Stopping Iran from projecting out, they've already done. So now, what else can you do? So really, he would like to do this without more bombs. Can he? I don't know. Every day it goes up and down. But interesting also, wait, Dr. Giddings, one thing that's very interesting is that the economic hardship that is being created by this war to America, right? We're talking about...
No, not by the war, by Donald Trump.
Well, Donald Trump through the war. Okay, if you want to say that. Okay, but that's fine. But the economic hardship it's bad, but it's not terrible. I mean, the economy did not collapse.
That's
the economy did not collapse.
But that's for you. There are people who can't put food on their table.
No, that's not for me. I'm like everybody else. Don't say that. That's not fair.
Well, I mean, you're the one that made the statement. So
I think that, for example, we went to World War II, right? In World War II, the economy of America collapsed. Why did it collapse? Because we were being faced by an enemy that wanted to take over the whole world. Iran is that kind of enemy. They want to take over the whole world. If they take over the whole world, then the economy collapses and we're all in Iran.
Point. You're using a bunch of ifs. If I were a demon, I could take over the entire world.
Do you disagree? Wait. Do you disagree that Iran wants to take over the whole world?
I think probably they want to do a lot of things in the world. That's been consistent as long as they have existed, right? And you can't, you can't go back to it. But
do they want to send? Wait. So that's good. So now, do they want to fire missiles at America? Is that one of the goals of Iran?
Unfortunately, especially now, I think there are a lot of places that want to fire missiles at.
That's not a good answer. Do they scream in the streets, "Death to America"?
I believe that they do.
They do, right? We don't dispute. So they want to, and they've been building up a massive arsenal of weapons. Are they supplying all the Western weapons to Russia that's helping them attack Ukraine? Yes, they are.
Listen, our president has done so much for Russia himself alone, right? That they don't.
No. Wait. Yeah, he's definitely not taking the hard line with Ukraine. But okay, my point is that Trump is addressing a serious problem, which a lot of people agree about. There is a price, an economic price, which we're all paying. I went to the gas pump. I put in my $4.50 a gallon gas. I got it. But it's not 1979 when there was a blockade and there was no gas. You had to buy on even and odd days. You couldn't get gas in America. So it's not at that level. Gas only.
Rabbi Cohen, to be fair, I could use a totally different topic. I could say things today are really horrible for Black and brown people, and then say, but at least we're not getting lynched and we're not on the fields. So,
no, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is for America as a whole, right? Gas prices went up, but they didn't go back to the level they were in 2020. They're only 2/3 of the way there. So they went up, but not by that much. And
so Rabbi,
so what I'm saying is, wait, if the price that eventually, if Iran wanted to shoot a nuclear missile at Chicago, and I would tell you that the way we're going to stop a nuclear weapon from hitting Chicago is by allowing temporarily the gas is going to go up to $4.50 a gallon, and in a year from now it'll go back down to $3.50 a gallon. But in the meantime, we won't have a nuclear bomb on Chicago. I think we would all agree that that's a fair decision, right? That is the way Trump is looking at this situation. You may disagree with him, but that is the way that he's looking at the situation. This $4.50 that we're all paying is stopping a nuclear weapon from hitting Chicago.
Rabbi, listen. Wait a minute. First of all, let me just clarify some things that you said. History is important. Most times, history informs the present situation that we're going through. That's one. Two, we would not be in this. All of the previous administrations knew that if we bombed Iran, we would be in this situation. He went ahead and did so. And that's why we're in this situation. He created this problem. He created this situation. He did not listen to General Kane when he said, if you bomb, this would occur. The fact that the gas prices are higher right now than before, you can't really compare. It's not, back to 2020. I mean, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Right now, it's high. Everything is high. The strait is closed. It's affecting the global economy, and it's affecting everyone in Europe, in Asia, everywhere. He's doesn't want our allies involved. He's insulted them. First of all, he started with the tariffs, which increased taxes and everything. Now he's with the war. That's on top of the bargain. It's affecting farmers. It's affecting fertilizers, all these things. And he gives, Argentina billions of dollars. He should be bailing out the farmers. And now he has this fund that he wants to pay insurrectionists. What about all the other people?
We're going off into a lot of topics, but let's stay. Let's not.
No, it's not off topic. This is what's caused all the problems. What he's done.
No.
This is the topic. Because of what he's done has led to these ripple effects.
Yeah, but Dr. Giddings, let's, first of all, Chicago, America made a profit on the loan guarantees they made to Chicago. They did not lose money. They made a profit on the loan deals to Argentina. So let's leave that one off the table completely. You can look it up. America made a profit on the money that they used for guarantees to Argentina. As far as, wait. I just want to go on.
One more minute.
One more minute. Okay. So all I'm saying is this. I'm not saying that we're not going through some economic bump right now, but if the price, you said that Trump created the situation. There's another way of saying the same thing. And the other way of saying the same thing exactly is that Trump dealt with a situation which 5 presidents before him did not deal with, and they pushed down the road. And 2 of those are Republicans, and 3 of those are Democrats, right? So 5 presidents that knew that Iran was a menace to the world, pushed it off, tried to push it under the rug, and did not deal with it, and Trump dealt with it. So that's the same way of saying the same thing. He didn't create Iran as a hostile nation that's trying to dominate the world and sow terror all over the world. He tried to deal with it. Did he do it right or wrong? We don't know yet. History is out. We're in the middle of it. I think we're doing better than you think. You think we're doing worse. We'll see in the end. If he's right, and if he gets it right, then prices are going to go down, and we're going to be living in a beautiful, free world, and it'll be amazing. If the best case scenario, Iran has a revolution and there's no more enemy. Could that still happen? I think it still could.
Rabbi, you're talking about history, and you drew a great parallel. You spoke about World War II and what happened. You said we had the country tanked because of World War II, and that's okay. But we're heading in that direction but you're saying it's fine. If you're going to draw that parallel, okay, we're having a problem because we're heading for a horrible, horrible economy. If you're going
I
to
don't think so. Okay, it may be, but I don't think so.
If you're going to draw the parallel, that's where we are.
No, because I'll tell you why. Because we're not sending hundreds of thousands of troops into harm's way. We have a very limited military exercise, which lasted 1 month. Maybe we'll have to go back and do some more bombing. But I think it's clear by now that Trump is not going to commit major forces on the ground. And therefore, it's not going to be at the level that it was in World War II. There is a minor, there is a major, but major to us, but minor in economic terms, bump on the road in terms of the economy. And I don't think that it's going to be as bad as you think it is. The end will tell. I don't know, but that's what my feeling is right now.
Anytime one life is lost in a war, it's already horrific.
Remember that. Yeah, no, but one life is that's not fair, because I'll tell you why. Because remember that
one life doesn't belong to your family. I think if you
but you remember that Biden, just getting out of Afghanistan, sacrificed 13 Americans, service people.
As long as we keep going retroactive, can we just talk about the present right now?
No, because we accept there is a price. The reason I'm saying that is because I think we have to recognize that military action does have a price of putting people in harm's way. And I know people who have lost lives in war.
What about the fact that they're now wanting to draft people again? People who don't want to go to war.
In the U.S.?
Yeah, they were talking about
they're looking at drafting up to age 25, I think. But that's a subject for
I think that's just talk. Right now, the volunteer army has the best recruitment numbers ever. So I don't think that's an issue right now.
That's a subject that we'll talk about a little bit later. But I want to shift gears for a minute, because when we talk about what's going on in the world, when we talk about history, it comes down to education and information. And where we are, we just lost one of our panelists, our educator, our contributor in that department, her name, Carla Mertens. I mean, we have to spend a little time talking about Carla, because when you talk about the Reset Talk Show, we talk about all the contributors from all walks of life that come to this platform and help to make our community better. So when we come back from this commercial break, we would lean in and talk a little bit about Carla, what she meant to the show, and how important it is for us to celebrate people that make a difference in our lives. We'll take a commercial break and we will be right back.
When it was time for my baby's vaccinations, I wasn't sure what to do. There was so much conflicting information, I didn't know what was real. But then I found out that since the 90s, childhood vaccines have saved over 1 million lives and prevented more than 500 million illnesses in children.
And like me, many parents worry. We all want to do what's best for our babies. So I went to my baby's doctor and I asked a lot of questions.
And got the answers I needed. I choose to vaccinate. Ask questions, get answers. Vaccinate.
Whatever your audiology needs are, we are here to help. Our full-time staff includes doctors of audiology, graduate student clinicians. We screen for, diagnose, and treat hearing loss in a diverse population of all ages. We work closely with primary care physicians, otolaryngologists, and other healthcare providers to ensure that we are treating the whole person, not just their hearing.
We have already begun. Beginning a few days ago, we instituted a system where all of the subway stations here in New York City will be adorned with an advertisement on our Jubilee celebrations. And I mean all 400 odd stations in the New York area, especially the 4 boroughs. That seems to be going well. I've seen photographs taken of that, and I'm saying that it really brings a sense of pride to our diasporans.
At Roger Victor Archibald Civil Rights and Personal Injury Attorneys, we are family.
No matter what the case is, we go fight it. If you're looking for justice, you will get it. Roger will treat you like you is VIP. Come join the winning team. Cause in this love for we treat you like family. Winning millions for clients since 1991. Family. Working together here as one, yeah. Family. So call us today at 718-237-1111 or visit our website at BookplayerAtty.com. From the shores of the Caribbean to the United States Courthouse, where clients are treated like people and not simply cases. Call us if you have a case involving police brutality, medical malpractice, construction accidents, automobile accidents, and all other personal injuries.
This is attorney Roger Archibald. Call me today at 718-237-1111. We are family.
Drinking alcohol increases the risk of several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and throat cancer. Drinking less can lower your risk. You deserve to know the truth about alcohol and cancer. Get the facts. Visit nyc.gov/alcohol.
Welcome back. This is the Reset Talk Show. You know, I might have a smile on my face, but I'm very saddened this morning because we lost a part of the team, a part of the family, and our educator, and Carla Mertens. Carla was with us since the dark days of the pandemic. And what she was able to do is to lead families through the tough time when there was no school. She would always recommend the things that should be done. And the one thing that I would always remember is her talking about have your child or children read at least 15 minutes per day. She was passionate about education. She was the type of person that would always make the time. Sometimes she was on the job. She was a middle school principal, assistant principal, but she would, take time out to at least make sure our audience, parents and children would stay up to date, stay up to speed with what's going on as we got through the pandemic. We're going to miss Carla. She has been at every Reset Award. And this year, we definitely will do something in her honor. I want to welcome in the panel because as much as we get out here and we agree to disagree, we have every type of expert that come to this platform. We have 2 educators. We just lost one. And I'm very, very saddened this morning. Could you bring back in the panel? Did Rabbi leave? Okay. So Rabbi Cohen, Donatello, Dr. Giddings. Rabbi, you've been at every award presentation that we've had. With the exception of one. So, what are your thoughts? How do you reflect on us losing one of our stalwarts here on the Reset Talk Show?
Yeah, thank you, JR, for this opportunity to honor a great educator. My mother-in-law was an educator, actually a reading specialist. My wife is an educator, and I have one of my daughters now has got into education and is teaching preschool. So that's 3 generations of connection of, how important it is to look after our children and to see that our children get the education, and especially as you said with reading, which is the foundation of everything. I didn't have a lot of opportunity to interact with Carla, but she, as a dedicated educator, she really made a difference at a time when the loss in education was probably the biggest thing that we suffered going through the shutdowns and everything that took place in that period. So the fact that she was able to help guide the audience through that period when the reset was really doing an amazing job. The whole reset name came from resetting after all the isolation and the unprecedented, really, for all of our lifetimes of being cut out from other people, and especially for children being cut out from their peers and not being able to go to school for so long. And this public service that was done by this great educator in making sure that children should be looked after and protected and should not completely disconnect it'll always be valued. And I join everyone here in honoring a great participant in this program.
Thank you, Rabbi Cohen. Donatella, your thoughts on us losing one of our educators here on the platform. When we talk about the reset, we talk about every type of medical contributor, educators, attorneys, elected officials. We go across the board. So when we lose one of our key players, when we lose one of our stalwarts, we must take the time out to acknowledge and show appreciation. Your thoughts?
I'd have to say, as one of the newer individuals to join this platform, I thoroughly enjoyed watching the reset during the pandemic. And in my personal opinion, Miss Martine will be remembered far more than just being an educator. From my perception, she was a woman whose presence, wisdom, and compassion impacted countless lives, both inside and out of the classroom, as you mentioned. And her gentle insistence that families should have their children read 15 minutes a day took me back to my own childhood in high school, where my favorite history teacher explained the importance of gathering world news and building your vocabulary. We were each assigned to read the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal each week in class. And I think that's something that today's world, with everything being digital, forgets the importance of reading. And that would help for adults as well. I think through education, mentorship, and community engagement, Carla dedicated herself to uplifting others. And she's the type of educator that every child should embrace. And I want to say, I think she was equally as beautiful inside as she is obviously outside. And my heartfelt condolences go to her family and to the viewers of our platform.
Thank you so much, Donatella. Dr. Giddings, welcome in. We are remembering Carla Mertens this morning, an amazing individual. She's also a distant family, but we consider ourselves family whenever we get together. You see that smile, that's what came to the forefront. But we lost Carla. Carla lost her fight with breast cancer. That terrible disease, and we are sad. We are sad today. How do you reflect?
Yes, Carla Mertens, what a beautiful soul. I mean, another stalwart gone too soon. She was definitely an integral part of the Reset Talk Show. She highlighted vital and important insights regarding educating our children. She poured into our children, and our children are an integral part of our future. She was a dedicated and passionate advocate for education and advancement of her students. So she will be sorely missed. Her determination and focus was unmeasured, and we hold all that she embodied dearly and know that her legacy will be reflective of all she represented. Our sincerely deepest condolences to her family and friends. May she rest in paradise. And we should all remember, absent from the body, present with the Lord. May she rest in paradise. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Giddings. So, Carla Felix was a mother, a daughter, a wife, a friend, uh, an educator. Carla was just a beautiful person. Carla, we miss you and we love you. Next up, in our international hour, yesterday was the 60th anniversary of Guyana, South America. So joining us next is the former Prime Minister of Guyana, the former Mayor of Georgetown, Guyana, and he is Mr. Hamilton Green. He's not here yet, but I think he'll be joining us soon. But what we're going to do, we're going to bring in Enrico Wolford, who is a Guyanese journalist extraordinaire. And if we're going to talk about Guyana's independence, which was yesterday, we have to have the right journalists on board. We have to have the people that understand the history of Guyana, and definitely that's Enrico, and that's definitely former PM in Hamilton Green. Enrico, you have been a part of Guyana's history from a perspective of journalism. So tell me, what do you know about the former Prime Minister and the former Mayor of Georgetown, Guyana?
Good morning, all. Thank you so much for allowing me on the program once again. I prefer Mr. Hamilton Green, an elder in terms of politics in the country, to represent himself. But what I can tell you is that he served in several portfolios. I know in 1970, he was the Minister of Works Hydraulics. At that time, we were planning the country out for the development of the society. And the reason there were areas left reserved for several years, including in South Rhineville Gardens and South Rhineville Park, along the Houston and Diamond areas. Those areas, as Stanley Ming and others have pointed out, those areas from what is now the North Rhineville Multilateral School, those areas were intended for us to put roads. And as the saying goes, when you have money, you can execute projects. And now this government has some money because we are now endowed with oil revenue. Some of that money has been used to do infrastructure, for example, from the Mandela, Aubrey Barker Streets area all the way to Diamond. And that was a plan that was in place ever since Hamilton Green was Minister of Works and Hydraulics in the country in 1970. In fact, they had commissioned a study from a U.S. firm here in the United States to ensure that we looked at the transportation sector throughout Guyana, because any country that is growing and developing will, of course, have more people. More people will have more cars and, trucks and what have you. So they looked forward in terms of from 1970 to 1990, what the kind of population would be and what our traffic population would be. And like that, several areas, even on the West Demerara, those areas are worked out. I remember as a child going to Canal Number 1, that, by the way, was dubbed by the enslaved Africans. Canals number 1, 2, and 3 were dubbed by the enslaved Africans. And to get there, you had to go in a boat. Now you have roads that would link those areas, and some of those roads were built under the PNC administration from 1964 to 1992, and some of those roads were also improved and built by the PPP administration. So what we've had over those years is a continuum of development. I think I've spoken a little too long.
Yes, I think former Prime Minister Hamilton Green is with us. Could you bring in the former Prime Minister and the former Mayor of Georgetown, Guyana? There he is. I feel like I'm on stage. Could you just lift the camera a little bit for the Prime Minister? So we could get a full view of him. The camera might be up a little bit. Could you just tilt it downwards? There we go, a little bit more. There we go. That's great. Fantastic. Welcome in. Once a president, once a prime minister, once a mayor, the title remains. So I'm going to say welcome in PM. That's how I know you. That's how I've addressed you, and that's not going to change. Welcome to the Reset Talk Show. It's so important that we have a public and political figure who could speak to the history of Guyana and some of the historic moments. Yesterday, the 26th of February, marked 60 years of independence of Guyana, South America. PM, how do you reflect on the 60th anniversary?
For me, after 60 years, I hope to be able to intone that we celebrate our our diamond anniversary. But excellent circumstances suggest that the most we can say that we're observing the period, because in many areas, we've turned the clock back, and in a sense, we've been subservient to the wiles and the machinations of the old master class with different faces, different names. And that is the things that bother me. That after 60 years, with all this enormous wealth, oil, gas, gold, diamonds, we are still mentally unable to say to our children what independence means. And I believe the task ahead is to look at our history and teach our young people what independence really means.
PM Green, okay, what does it mean to you? What does 60th anniversary means to you?
It means a lost opportunity to make optimal use of our God given resources so that if properly utilized, we should be able to end poverty, provide an effective first class education for every boy and child in this country, good health facilities. With these massive resources we have, and less than 1 million people, there's no reason for us to be the best fed, the best housed, the best clothed country in this world, more than all of the so-called developed countries. Because taking it by fractions, by comparison, per capita, we have more resources than any other country, including the Gulf states, the United States, and any other country in the world. All it requires is good leadership and ensure that we appease our ancestors, that we make optimal use of our resources. And that bothers me because I said at a conference a few days ago, had Burnham and Teddy Jagan been alive today, they would have translated our resources into something meaningful for our people. They would not have danced to the whims of either of the superpowers. Speaking for Burnham, you recall that in 1961, the four great men who we forget established at Belgrade in September what is known as the non-aligned movement. The idea behind Jawaharlal Nehru and Nkrumah, Tito, and Nasser was to ensure that their resources and their training was for the benefit of their people, and that we should be pawns of neither east nor west. In a sense, this is where we've lost our way. And one of the things that Burnham did is to build a shrine at the Company Path Gardens, that area between St. George's Cathedral and the Bank of Ghana, honor those four great men who struck out for non-alignment to ensure that their citizens are the major beneficiaries of the God-given natural resources. And at the same time, we instituted what was known the Institute of Decolonization to ensure that our people understood the difference between a colony and an independent nation. Because, as happened in so many places, you get a flag and an anthem, but the people remain mentally subservient to the machinations of either of the two masses. This is a task that we must undertake together unless we want to lose the traction and the opportunity that the two titans, two architects, Burnham and Jagan, sought to do.
You
when
know,
they
I'm glad.
raise the gold
I am.
medal head at the
I am
Cleveland.
so sorry. I am so happy that you mentioned the two stalwarts and Forbes Burnham and Shetty Jagan. I think you more than anyone else uh, could tell us through your lens what the two stalwarts, what they would be thinking and feeling right now, where we are 60 years later with the wealth, with the oil, with the minerals. Um, uh, how would you represent them? I mean, these are two men that you have been around for better than 10, 15, 20 years.
They'll be shedding tears of pain as we dish out, hand out our gold, our oil, and getting so little for it. A government that made a big song and dance over a terrible agreement in 2016 that they will renegotiate. All of a sudden, the byword is sanctity of contract, an absurd term in a world where at a personal level, you always ought to be willing to renegotiate as circumstances change. And I believe it is the only way for us to bequeath to our young people a country that is free mentally and physically from the ravages of slavery, colonialism, and bondage. And I remember when Her Gracious Majesty the Queen representative was handing over instruments of authority at the Parliament buildings. Burnham reminded the Queen's representative that we are the product of years of British rule, and with a quip in his eye, also misrule. We need to correct that condition. It's a monumental task because, as we see everywhere, our young people are being consumed by the old trick of the Romans when the Romans said, give them bread and entertainment, bread and circuses. And that is what our young people are the victim of, bread and circuses to distract them from the reality that in spite of this wealth, the gap between the rich and the poor is widening.
Thank you so much. I mean, history is so important. We learn from our history. I'm so happy that that you're here to talk us through those historic times, those historic moments. We're being joined by MP Terrence Campbell of the APNU party. But before you jump in, Terrence, Enrico, we have the former Prime Minister, the former Mayor of Georgetown, Guyana, and Hamilton Green. What is there a question you would like to ask him? And could it be a short one because we got to bring in the MP next?
Yes, the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, mentioned several times that he was part of the independence conferences, the pre-independence conferences in the early 1960s. I would like the Prime Minister to explain, Mr. Green to explain, what was his role during that time and how did that affect the country as we inherited it from the British, Mr. Green?
I was only part of the final conference, which fixed the date and details for independence, held in November at Lancaster House. Of course, as General Secretary of the party, I was privy to the details of the previous conferences. There were three main issues, and I'll go through them quickly to answer your question. One, elections were held in 1961 at a time when we were trying to kill each other, metro lines along the East Coast, West Coast, and people were divided. And the elections then gave the PPP 20 seats, the PNC 11 seats, and the newly established United Force 4 seats. But when we looked at the total votes cast, the PP got 42.6, I think. I'm speaking from memory. I can't read now, I'm blind. And we got 41% of the votes. And in the circumstances of a divided nation, we felt that the electoral system did not reflect, with the first past the post system, the will of the majority of people. So at the two conferences, it was proposed to change the electoral system to what we have now, from first past the post to proportional representation. The second issue was that we can go to voting age, qualifying age at 18 a little later, but that for the time being leaves at 21. And the biggest issue was that elections under the new system before the date for independence be fixed. On those three issues, we couldn't find common ground. In fact, Eric Williams of Trinidad invited the three groups. I was part of the PNC delegation to see if he can find a modus vivendi. That too failed. So we went at the other conference in London. I was not at the penultimate conference, when Burnham suggested a plebiscite on the three issues to allow the people to be the final decision makers. The British warned Burnham that that will take a long time and further delay the advent of independence. For some reason which I can't explain, Dr. Jagan approached the British. And I remember his exact words. He said he had great faith and confidence in the British sense of fair play and justice, and asked them to break the deadlock. The rest is history. The result was not what he expected. When he came back to Ghana, and again, in his words, started a hurricane of protests, which translated into violence. At that time, there were hurricanes in the region. That, in part, answers the question. We went to London after the elections in 1964, when the PNC and United Force decided to pool their votes together and form a government. The government then accepted that proposal, and the first coalition was established in 1964, and the 65 Conference granted independence in 1966. How we got the date, of course, is not an exciting matter. If you're interested, I can talk about that. But before that, let me add that the three men who pushed for independence in a meaningful way when neither country was independent were the three Bs: Barrow of Barbados, Byrd of Antigua, and Burnham of Guyana when they met at Dickinson Bay in 1965 to form what I consider the framework, the groundwork, the foundation for CARICOM. And my dream, my hope is that CARICOM will regain the strength intended by those three Bs and stand up like men to the Titans and say, this is what the Caribbean is all about.
Thank
I don't
you.
know if I
Thank
answered
you.
your question.
You certainly did, and we learned so much from history. You were a part of that history, and that's why it's so important for you to be here this morning. So we're going to bring in MP Terence Campbell from the APNU party. Terence, welcome to the Reset Talk Show. As you see, we have the former Prime Minister and the former Mayor of Georgetown, Guyana, and Hamilton Green. I feel like I'm introducing some of the top caliber fighters, and that's who he is. That's who he was. Terence, yesterday was the 60th anniversary of Guyana. What are your thoughts about Guyana's 60th independence?
So thank you so much for having me. I feel a little bit useless when you have such a stalwart like the former Prime Minister, Hamilton Green, on the show. I mean, what can I add to the discussion? And it is a bit of a surprise. I didn't know you would have the Dean of the Corps of Journalists in Guyana, Enrico, also on. But thanks for having me on the program. I think my view is necessarily a more one concerned with where Guyana is right now, and I think we're a bit of a crossroads. Let me be frank. I think that to certain section of the Guyanese population, we currently face an existential threat to our existence because Guyana is changing very rapidly. And there is a great bounty, a great harvest, but not a lot. You have to be invited to participate in that harvest. That harvest is not for all Guyanese, and there are sections of our community that are excluded from that harvest and not invited to participate at the table. And we saw this. We saw this in. I saw you a few days ago, and I was hurrying home to Guyana to participate in the national celebrations for the 60th anniversary of independence. But those celebrations, and I'll speak a little more in a video to the people about this later today, but those celebrations were more friends and family celebrations where we even saw, friend and family falling out. And it's the same thing that we saw in terms of the celebrations. In the same way, that is where Guyana is in terms of economics and social issues, that the harvest is for a few and not for all Guyanese. And that is the challenge that I see. It's great opportunity, resources available to this country that unheard of. Let me say that even our Prime Minister Green mentioned Dr. Jagan and Mr. Burnham. And let us not forget for a moment Mr. Peter Degar, who was the finance minister and part of that coalition government. But these gentlemen could not have. I don't think they ever dreamt of what we have available to us today and what will become available in a very short time as we pay down the cost bank. Imagine that 75% of our oil earnings goes to paying down the cost bank, the capital expenditure for the oil, the FPSOs. That is soon going to be paid down. And at the moment, the country or our oil sector is earning an extra billion US dollars a month with the current windfall oil prices. With the cost bank paid down, that means half of that will come to us. Imagine, Guyana, $500 million US dollars in windfall earnings. And so it's a time of great opportunity, but yet we don't have the trickle down. And this is the challenge for those of us who are out in the fields doing political work, because we've got to ensure that there is equitable distribution of our resources. There are also contemporary challenges to our sovereignty. There are the known challenges. We're in the International Court of Justice over the border issue with Venezuela, and they have said that they don't intend to honor any decision by the court. But it's also a time of grave political challenges to sovereignty, as small nations like ours, no matter, it's a bit of a conundrum. One would think that with the massive earnings that we have from the oil sector, that would have buttressed our independence. But instead, we've seen that we have a government, notwithstanding the fact that Guyana is perhaps at its strongest economically for decades. At the same time, we have a government that seems to want to please the superpowers of the world today. So where we stand today as we celebrate this 60th anniversary, for me, is that it's a time of great opportunity, and it's a time of challenge that we must overcome. The challenge, one, for equitable distribution of what is now available to us. The challenge of reducing, as someone in the public domain and slightly involved with policy at the parliamentary level, to my mind, whenever there is inequity, whenever you see inequity, a government must spring into action. And we have great inequities in this country, and those need to be, what we need is disaggregated data so those things can be addressed. And so at this time of bounty, we must address those challenges so that all Guyanese could benefit. And on the other hand, I think it's time that we carve a place for ourselves. Guyana used to be a leader in terms of carving a unique foreign policy as a country that would stand up for what is just and what is right. And that is no longer the Guyana that we see today. So those are the big issues that consume me as we celebrate the 60th anniversary of independence.
Well, thank you, Terence. I want to just bring back in the PM. We probably got another 2 or 3 minutes before he has to leave, and I know that you're very busy as well, Terence. PM Green, you just heard from MP Terence Campbell, and he said one thing that I'm not sure of, so I'm going to ask you: did you or Forbes Burnham or Dr. Jagan, did you guys foresee this type of Guyana with this type of wealth and resources?
Let me say two things very briefly. First of all, congratulations to Terence. Well said, well put. But I think the challenge today is that Terence's generation are unaware, because of our educational system, of what I describe as a rough but righteous road to independence, particularly in the context of the Cold War, when the British bulldog, Sir Winston Churchill, said two things that are related to what Terence said and the situation we face today. One, when he was introduced to a university at Fulton, Missouri, by the sitting president, Truman, he made the famous Iron Curtain speech. But before that, even while Nazi Germany had rained down over 1 million bombs in London and the contiguous areas, he said he was not appointed His Majesty's First Minister to preside over the liquidation of the British Empire. And I add, over which the sun never set. But when he lost the elections in 1945, the Labour government accelerated the pace for independence. And we got independence. Ghana got hers in 57. They got those in 64, and we got ours in 66. It was not easy because people forget that in 1953, when the Constitution was suspended, the problems were constant control of your natural resources and important, the minds of our people. In Iran, there's a lot of confusion going on, and I use a polite term. But the same year, when our constitution was suspended, when they sent a battalion here in October. In August, the CIA and MI5 organized to have the democratically elected prime minister of Iran overthrown. So this is not about democracy nor decency. This is about control and countries like ours having the strength, the gravitas, to stand up like men and ensure that there's unity. And I believe the challenge for young men like Terence Campbell, who's doing an excellent job, is to do what they can to overcome the nonsense of the present administration and to get our young people from all walks of life to understand this is not a political gambit. This is something they have to work together to preserve the sanctity, the safety, and the sacredness of this country that God gave us. Unless we do that, we'll be lost. Because look, already we see other people taking over this country. Already we see people give out quarries to Indian nationals unknown to the public. And only when they're mistreated that we hear that something was amiss. So I ask the young generation to work together and remember that after 1964, Burnham and the PNC went out in places that were divided. We got together hostile groups in places like Lenora and elsewhere to build schools, hospitals, even police stations, government providing the material. We have to reignite that spirit of oneness instead of this desecration we saw at Fort Island. And let me say something about Fort Island. We must not ignore the power and the spirit of our noble ancestors. On Fort Island are buried the Dutch overseers and the slaves. And when that flag did not go up, It was a statement by the ancestors that they are unhappy and they're angry. And I hope the government will not trivialize that event. For the first time in 6 years, the flag did not go up. And they did not invite the GDF officer who hoisted the golden arrowhead for the first time at the Queen Elizabeth Park. And there's never, to my knowledge, been an instance where the flag did not fly. And I hope they don't take it as a non-event. I'm repeating myself. The ancestors are angry. And they spoke eloquently. And young people like Terence must get that message over. That we must hold hands together and put aside the evil empire which seemed to be looming and create a country that God has given us, where no man should ever go to bed hungry.
Thank you, PM Green. We're almost at the top of the hour, but I want to give Dr. Giddings and Enrico. Enrico has a question that must be answered, and of course, I don't know if MP Campbell would like to ask PM Green anything, but PM Green, you have to only take 2 minutes per answer, so we could not go over time. Let's lead with you, Enrico, then of course MP Campbell, and then of course Dr. Giddings. And PM Green, Dr. Giddings is your good friend and buddy. That's his daughter, in Dr. Giddings. So you lead, Enrico, and remember, everything is time sensitive right now.
Prime Minister Green, you mentioned that you were going to give us an idea of why the May 26th date was chosen as Independence Day. I've noticed a lot of talk that it may have had something to do with difficulties in Wismar following the bombing of the St. Chapman boat in that area, and those two things clashed. Could you give us a background of what really occurred, one in Wismar, and two, why the Independence date was chosen as May 26th?
The date for independence had absolutely nothing to do with Wismar or any other incident, ugly or not ugly. When the conference was about to conclude, remember, in the midst of the Congress, Ian Smith had declared UDI in Rhodesia. And the British were very sensitive about the whole issue of independence. And Burnham asked for February 23rd, the date that the slaves struck for the freedom at Magdalena. The British quite rightly pointed out it did not give us sufficient time. Remember, this was mid-November, and Guyanese don't work when it comes to Christmas. And he said it would not give us sufficient time to advertise for an anthem and all the arrangements necessary for independence. Degar, on the other hand, proposed August the 1st. We felt that we did not want a date that Massa fixed for the emancipation of the enslaved Africans. And then one British wag came up with an idea, I think Friday 13th, which we superstitious people, we said that wouldn't fly. And then on the sidelines of a lunch, a British officer said, why not make it a date in between February and August the 24th of May? But Burnham was so bright before he finished the sentence. Burnham said, "You want our independence to be on the Queen's official birthday?" That ended the discussion. And then Burnham remembered that on the 26th, there was an advanced constitution by the Dutch. I don't remember the year. And we felt that was a convenient time. And that's how the 26th was accepted by all and sundry as our independence date. That is my recollection. I believe it is fairly accurate.
Thank you. Next, MP Campbell, do you have a question for PM Green?
Well, I talk often with PM Green, but he did mention Dr. Jagan and the agreement to leave it to the British to decide on the path forward in relation, especially on the switch to proportional representation. There are some who argue that he was tricked. I believe, PM, I read somewhere that they said that Sir Lionel had gotten together with the British and tricked him into. Is there any merit to that rumor?
Trickery is a pejorative term. I have discussed this matter with senior PP officials, and they postulate that Cheney was tired and wanted to bring some sort of closure to this question, and for some inexplicable reason, to use his own words, had faith in the British sense of fair play and justice. You know, Thomas Carlyle once said, "The history of a nation state is no more than a biography of its great men." And if you look at our situation, it may be, and this is my own view, Burnham was educated in England, where he met with all the British greats from Africa, the Caribbean, and elsewhere, struggling for independence. On the other hand, Cheney was educated in the United States, less exposed to the conditions of a country which once, from a little island, controlled almost half of the world, India, what is now Pakistan, and so forth, most of West Africa, East Africa. And therefore, Cheney didn't understand the nuances of the British. Burnham was the last to sign, when Cheney signed a document giving the British the right to break the deadlock. Degas signed, and Burnham was the last to sign reluctantly because, as the British warned him, he would be responsible for delaying independence if he didn't agree. In the meantime, Zambia got her independence in 1964, and other people will get independence. In 62, Jamaica and Trinidad got independence ahead of us, even though the Washington Constitution gave us a constitution which would allowed our independence long before any of the other Caribbean territories. But that is how the cookie crumbles. I don't know if I've answered your question.
You certainly did. You certainly did. Won't you agree, Terrence?
Yeah, well, he's given me a nuance that I think maybe for the first time I've heard it. Anybody put it over this way, that Cheney would have been less comfortable in the UK and at Lancaster House than Burnham, who had studied there and spent many years in the UK. And that may have explained, some of the decisions. So it's certainly a new angle to look at those historical events. So thank you very much, PM Green.
But before you leave, let me say something else to you, which has to do with a rocky road to independence. When the Queen was about to have a coronation, the British Guiana government under Jagan and Shetty said we're not sending any message of pleasure to the Queen. Burnham said he thought that was a mistake. But worse than that, and you must understand the world is made of people. The two people convicted of treason were Ethel and Julius Rosenberg, are convicted in spite of appeals by many American groups for clemency. They were executed. And the British and Americans pinned that on Mrs. Jagan, whose maiden name was Rosenberg. And in my book, Paint a Piece, I said, I believed her when she said she was in no way related to those Rosenbergs, which, as you know, is a Jewish name. So all these things, in some pocket way, contributed to our, as I say, our rugged but righteous road to independence.
Thank you, PM Green. Dr. Giddings, I know you want to say hello to the former Prime Minister. Go right ahead.
Hello, Prime Minister Hamilton Green. I'm so happy that you joined us, and I know you're a personal and dear friend of my dad, and he'd be ecstatic that you're here sharing all your knowledge and insights and history, and we really appreciate you. So congratulations, and glad to see you again.
Thank you. Roman's available at any time, short notice. Thank you very much.
So let's get a closing message from the MP Campbell. Let's get a closing message from Enrico, and a closing message from, of course, our former Prime Minister and former Mayor of Georgetown. But you guys only have 1 minute because we have to get our closing segment in. So how about if we start with Enrico and then MP, and then PM Green, you would give us your parting message.
I think it is important for us to record history correctly. I think it is important for us to be informed before we inform. And I also think it is important for us to, as we look at the past, we take the very good examples of Guyana in terms of cooperation and consultation and interaction, and move the process forward using that very premise.
Thank you, Enrico. I second that. MP Campbell, your parting message.
Let me say that I engage on a regular basis with PM Green, and I'm often astonished as to how clued in he is. He mentioned in my opening piece, I mentioned the existential threat to certain sections of our population. And I just want to quickly point out that PM Green pointed out, highlighted the fact that, you know, Guyana is changing and foreigners are now slipping in with contracts in quarries that we never heard about and so on. The country is up for sale, and that is the existential threat to which I was referring. And I think that it's important that as we go forward, we highlight that, you know, and PM Green mentioned ancestors, and we must make sure that the sacrifices of our ancestors are not in vain. So it's important for us to keep our eyes on what is happening in Guyana. Thank you very much for this program that helps to highlight those issues, because we've got to ensure that we have our seat at that table, and that we, you know, what is being distributed is distributed equitably, and go beyond that, that there is redress. There is redress for things that have happened in the past that leave that has left certain sections behind.
Don't leave yet, Terrence. Your parting message, PM Green, and then I would just like to say something.
I agree with young Terrence 100%. And to say that he's got a monumental task ahead of him. At his age, when I was his age, we worked 12 hours a day. I know it's not easy, but I say keep up the struggle. Guyana must not be for sale, and we have a job to contact even the rabid PPP supporters to point out to them what is happening to their own country. And I say, let us not fail them. God bless us, and thank you for this opportunity. And the woman is available at any time to share his views with the young people. Thank you very much.
So, PM, before you leave, I just want to say one thing. This is a bipartisan platform, and my dream, because everyone tells me that I'm crazy, is to be able to have scores not only with the APNU, but of course the PPP and the Win Party, and of course you, Prime Minister. So that's my job. That's the work of the reset, to give the people in the diaspora and the people in Guyana a chance to engage in an amazing discourse. So whatever we could do to make that happen, I think it's important. PM, my final parting words for you is thank you for the history lesson. I'm sure the listeners and the viewers got a chance to engage with you on this level. And this level is a very, very high level. I wanna thank you. I want to thank you. Have a great afternoon.
And don't underestimate the importance of your program.
Thank you. Thank you so much, PM. Terrence, please, you have to come back. We have to continue the conversations of not only of the anniversary, but the path forward in Guyana. And we have our great consultant in PM Green, and I don't know why we don't use PM as a resource, as a consultant, because he understands not only the history of the country, but the terrain of the country. Have a good afternoon, fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Dr. Giddings, here we are as we get ready to close out. We can't close out today without talking about the New York Knicks. After 27 years, the New York Knicks are now the Eastern Conference champions. I gotta tell you, I never saw it coming. I'm a New Yorker at heart, but this is an amazing feat. Let me say this, Dr. Giddings. You have lived in New York for the better part of your life. You would not believe what's about to take place in New York City for the NBA Finals. Your thoughts on the Knicks?
Yes, I mean, it's an incredible journey for them. Like you said, 27 years. Not to mention the 11 game playoff winning streak. So all New Yorkers are ecstatic. Everything is actually, it's going to be going on during the Reset Awards. So we'll have two things going on, the Knicks and the Reset Awards. But yeah, I think they did amazing. Two sweeps, you know, they swept, I believe it was Philadelphia and then Cleveland. So they're doing amazing. Apparently, they are, the talk is, I hear that they can beat either one of the Western teams, whoever comes out of it. So I'm not sure. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, the East versus the West. The one plus that the Knicks have going for them is the Spurs and the Thunder. They're knocking themselves out in this Western Conference Finals. So the team that emerges from the West, okay, I think will be bruised and battered. So I'm a New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker. But when we talk about the Thunder and we talk about the Spurs, they're 15 deep. 15 deep. They could plug in at any time. So yes, I'm rooting for New York, but I want to see how badly bruised and damaged the champion of the West might be. And I'm so happy Donatella is back because I know she loves her sports and I know she loves her Knicks. Donatella, your thoughts on the New York Knickerbockers? But Donatella, before I bring you in, I just want to say one thing about the captain of the Knicks, and we're talking about Jalen Brunson, aka Body Brunson. When you talk about special players, he has grown into a special player. We never imagined, okay, that he had this set of skills. But man, oh man! And then when you go up and down the lineup, Anobi, you have, of course, Hart, and he's so full of heart. And then how could we forget Bridges? You know, when you look at the team, you first pull back and you say, "Is this the New York Knicks?" Yes, the New York Knicks have been showing up. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad that we are virtual because some of my friends might have started screaming when you said, I know you love the New York Knicks Knickerbockers. Diehard New York fans are now looking at people like myself who are jumping on the bandwagon. Yes, I'm a fan of the New York Knicks, but can I spit out stats? Probably not. Right? But I do want to say, I still can't believe that I'm saying this. The New York Knicks are heading to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. And I'm going to ruin that image that I try to forever be 25. But I relocated here to New York in 1999. And so for me to say that they haven't been to the finals my entire lifespan here in New York, it's kind of interesting. And New York Knicks fans are diehard, but this series is absolutely unforgettable. I did not realize until the last minute that they were actually selling tickets where you could sit inside Radio Music Hall or Madison Square Garden for that last game. The tickets were as low as $10. But when you think about game one, the New York Knicks made a statement. And then game two, the confidence grew. Game three, Madison Square Gardens had become absolute madness. And then there is the phenomenal game four, total annihilation. I could not believe, I think at one point, I can't remember what the highest lead was. I think at one point it was something like 30 something points. And I started to feel bad for the other team because no one wants to see their season's work end up this way. I was so surprised at their dedication to keep up the energy. But that final score, I think it was 130 to 93, I think was the end score. Much respect to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're a great organization, but New York, this is our moment. And I'm watching the behavior in the streets already. I'm a little scared once the series starts.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Maybe we could get the commissioner Tish on. I think they have it under control. But Donatella, it's been a clean sweep. It's been a clean sweep. All the teams that the Knicks have faced, clean sweep. So here we are. Let's close out. We've gone over a little bit, but I thought it was important. By now, everyone knows that I'm Guyanese, and my father was a patriot, and he he set the tone for me and the family, and for me not to be in a position to bring on Hamilton Green. You know, my father would smirk. So because I'm Guyanese, because it's independence, because I knew that we will get a history lesson. That's what we got today. A lot of people didn't know about the information. We had to bring PM Green on, the former prime minister. So we're going to close out now. We've gone over by 5 or 10 minutes, but I think it was worth it. So let's be short on our closings. Donatella, your closings for today.
Well, as always, I want to thank our viewing audience for sitting through this live stream. For myself, happy 60th anniversary to Guyana. I was sharing the live stream with some of my friends. I learned a lot of information about the country that I didn't know. It was an absolute pleasure to have our former Prime Minister, Honorable Hamilton Green, on, as well as our other esteemed guests. But New Yorkers, I just want to say this is a historic moment. I can't even speak. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to, as we move into the playoffs, giving some special high notes on Wednesdays, and maybe we can get someone from the sport industry here. That would be awesome.
We're moving into the NBA Finals, and we're moving into Reset Week. Next Saturday is the Reset Awards. You know, great things happen at the same time. So we're getting ready for Reset Week. So everyone within the sound of my voice, we're asking you to share the Reset flyer. We're asking you to share with your friends, to tell a friend to tell a friend. And we're going to put up the QR code shortly, because we want people to be able to scan the QR code to show up, to see Donatella, to see Dr. Giddings, to see Pastor Straker, to see Rabbi, to see Deidre. Everybody will be in the building Saturday, June 6th. Dr. Giddings, your closing remarks. And remember, we only have 1 minute.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, another great show, and the best was seeing PM Hamilton Green here. I know my dad is smiling down right now because we had him sharing all the history, all the knowledge, all the vision of Guyana. So that was great. Again, total condolences, sincere condolences to the Mertens family and friends. She will always be in our hearts and thoughts. And just for everyone, just know that what's going on in the world today, in our country today, I should say, we can have an effect if we all, just get together and vote and change things out. So make a plan and get out there. Tell your friends and your family to vote, and go Knicks.
No, Dr. Giddings,
everyone,
you said that wrong. Tell a friend to tell a friend, not tell them to go out.
Okay, that's your tagline. All right.
So Dr. Giddings, I got to tell you, I love the way you're blinging today. I love it. I love how you're representing. So I must compliment you there. But once again, here we are, the Reset Awards, next Saturday, June 6th. The weather is beautiful. People are traveling from across the country to come to the Reset Awards. You get a chance to meet some phenomenal people. You get a chance to meet our contributors. And then when we think about the loss of Carla, it's so important that we get together and truly embrace each other. We always think that we have a lot of time. Let's make a date and don't be late. Come out, meet these contributors, meet these people, get to know them personally. I think it's important. So right now, I want to leave by sending our sincere condolences to the Mertens family. What's beautiful about streaming, People will be able to see the show this evening, tomorrow, and they'll be able to tell everyone how important it is to be a part of a great family. We don't forget our family members. So thank you for letting us come into your homes every Wednesday. See you next Wednesday, same time, same place. Please don't forget to subscribe to our new YouTube channel. It's at the Reset Talk Show NY. At the Reset Talk Show NY. You get a chance to see that the show will be streaming live on YouTube from Dumbo next Saturday for those people who will not be able to make it. Have a good rest of your Wednesday.
The 2026 Reset Awards coming Saturday, June 6th to Dumbo, Brooklyn. Nominees, artists, and red carpet. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Sponsored in part by Dr. Giddings, Liberty Hearing Center, Metropolitan Hospital, and United Beverage Center. Scan the QR code to get tickets now.
Mm-hmm.